for your employees. Tonight is the night where motivation is going to be delivered. Brandon Dawson getting ready here, just moments away from kicking off 10X Owners Live. We've also got a surprise guest. I don't know, do I tell him the surprise guest? Maybe GC shows up today? Maybe GC shows up today, so be paying attention. Really excited for this. Before I bring in my buddy Jared, who's my co-host, we're like Kelly and Ryan, you know, he's gonna be my co-host. I wanted to try this wallpaper out real quick. Can we, everyone's on Zoom right now. Everyone's doing these Zoom meetings. Does this work, Bryce? Do I get the custom wallpaper? We're gonna try this out. So if this works, we're gonna give you a link and then you'll be able to download these custom wallpapers for all of your Zoom calls. This is a custom, state-of-the-art, first come, first serve, 10X Owners Live wallpaper. Limited edition, really. Limited edition. It's not, okay, it's not working, okay. But we will put the link if you would like to download your very own custom 10X Owners Live wallpaper for your Zoom calls. I'm gonna be sporting it, you should download it. It's in the chat, just search the chat and you'll be able to see exactly what that 10X Owners Live custom wallpaper looks like. All right, Jared, let's bring Jared up. Jared, how are you, buddy?
I'm great, man.
Fantastic. Look, first, I want to congratulate you guys on such an awesome live training call earlier this week. People really showed up. It's just clear that everyone's looking for what steps they need to be taking. You know, something that really resonated with me, Jared, was when Grant talked about bargaining. And so today's theme is motivation. I wanted to just, for anyone that missed that live training, I want to talk about bargaining real quick. Let's play that.
Third stage is bargaining. You have to know this about yourself and you got to know it about the people around you, because the people around you are going to become very, very important in the days, the weeks, and the months to come.
No? Okay. We'll get the clip here in just a minute, but
third stage is bargaining. You have to
that live training and sort of the steps that Grant laid out and how that's relevant to everyone in the 10X Owners Live community today.
Yeah, so, you know, we had some conversation about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to cover and sort of how we wanted to move through it. And, you know, really we wanted to talk to people about what the reality of the situation really is.
Right.
Because it really, I mean, unless you've gotten laid off or you're taking like preventative steps in your business, like the real effects of this really haven't hit anybody yet.
Right.
And so when you start talking numbers like the St. Louis Fed had a model that said there could be 40 million people unemployed.
Wow.
When you talk about 100 to 200,000 people dead, when you talk about, the worst quarter in stock market history, like, there's just a lot of really bad things happening. And for some people, it's, time at home. For some people, they're like, what do I do? How do I respond?
Right.
Some people are just freaked out. So everybody's having all these responses to it. And really what we wanted to do was get it down to the point where we said, look, these are the stages you have to move through in order to get to acceptance, where you can actually grow and expand and do.
Yeah. Let's see if we can pull up that clip now. Let's go back to the bargaining.
Third stage is bargaining. You have to know this about yourself and you got to know it about the people.
Right. So for me, people are trying to make sense of this right now. And, when we talk about motivation, where do you see what Grant was talking about bargaining? Where do you see that play into motivation for people?
It's bargaining is kind of like another way of saying cheerleader,
right?
It's like an artificial hope because they really don't understand the situation and what's going on. More
Right.
importantly, how to get out of it.
Right.
Like that's really the biggest misfire is, people think that a great attitude will get them through hard times. And it sounds great, but it's not the case. Like a good attitude's important to have, but I mean, I don't have a good attitude all the time. I guess I'm a pretty happy dude, but like, I don't have a good attitude all the time, but
Sure.
I know how to grow. I know how to expand. I know how to sell things. I know how to like close deals. Like there's no matter if I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, I still have those skills.
Yep.
And so when you talk about how bargaining plays into motivation, I really think it's just people thinking that that's the right response.
Right.
Hey, everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to die. It's going to be over soon.
Yeah.
I've got enough money packed away. Like there's this sort of minimization of it almost.
Yep. And you've been through this before, Jared, so I know that you know this, but when you're in a moment like this, Grant, for you, was that mentor the first time you went through a crisis like this. That's actually when you both connected and started working together. So
yeah, I mean, I just thought that's what everybody did, honestly, because I didn't know. Like I didn't know any better. I was 26 years old, smoking weed every day, broken in debt. Like I didn't know anything, but I was like, I live in California, man.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I didn't know anything. All I knew was I worked for this guy that was like grinding all the time and doing so much, and I was like, I guess this is just what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And so I just fell in line, and then, you mature a bit and you're like, wow, dude, people like freak out. They shut down. Like Sandy's has this girl that, she every third day in her story, she's like posting a video of herself crying because she's all freaked out over the situation.
I know.
I'm like, it's insane.
Social's so tough right now. If you're trying to remain motivated and inspired, there's hit or miss. There is some positivity, and then there's just, I'd say it's just an influx of negativity. It's 80, 90% negativity, which I know Grant often says, stay out of social right now at a time like this. I think, so you had Grant, he was your mentor. So talk to me just really quickly here as BD gets ready to go live for Owners Live, what that offer is now for you guys for mentorship for people who are going through this crisis.
Yeah. So, I think that, we see in Buck, this because you've had time behind the curtain, like you see a level of authenticity from Grant and what we do that most people don't. Like most people don't understand how Grant is. They have their own ideas of who he is, but you had an opportunity to kind of see behind the scenes. All we do when we create products and when we create programs, all we do is tell people what we know.
Yep.
And it's not what we think, it's what we do.
Right.
So anytime, so we created this mentoring program because all we want to do is help people install the skills and the business practices that they need to move through this period and moment fast and with minimal damage and come out on the other end like a rocket ship so that you can pick up market share from your competitors. And so that program starts Thursday night at 8 p.m. grantcardone.com/mentor. If you haven't joined yet, it's $1,000. You get 8 weeks of coaching and mentoring. You get access to a Facebook community. You get access to a 10X Live Mastermind Day at our Miami headquarters. We'll do one a month once everything opens back up. And you'll get access to Cardone University for a year. So it's a great place to learn. It's a great place to get strategies. It's a great place to connect. There's a lot of people that do business with each other in the groups. There's some people that just use the group for accountability. And there's some people in the group who, just want to go there and get some positivity and make some friends, that's just the way it rolls. So it's by far, without a doubt, our most popular program that we do all year. The biggest success stories come from the people that come in that group. So grantcardone.com/mentor, sign up, get in that thing. You guys will dig it.
I love it. And it's what you said is absolutely true. I have been a part of this organization long enough. I have been in private offices and conversations with you and Brandon and Grant, and there is that genuine understanding of what he knows, and what he knows will help people. And that is why I believe your mentorship program is the most popular program, because people just they need that kind of information. They need that kind of proximity. You know, Brandon and Grant talk about proximity, and that's what that mentorship program gets. Also, tomorrow, if you join immediately, tomorrow in that private Facebook group, Brandon is actually going to do an hour tomorrow night, I believe at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, isn't that right? Tomorrow, Brandon will be live inside that Mentors Facebook private group, so it's definitely a perfect time to sign up for that. Jared, thank you so much for joining and being my co-host again. I think maybe we have a future together. Maybe this is a program we put together.
Freaking Frack or
yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. That was a good one.
You know, something tells me that's what Grant and Brandon would call this show, but I'll go for it. All right, thank you, buddy. And is it true? Have you heard the rumors that GC's making an appearance here today?
I have heard the rumors.
Okay.
So
all right.
I've heard rumors before and been wrong. So
okay.
I just
we'll see. We'll check it out. Awesome. All right, thanks, Jared. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, guys, take care.
Okay, so prepare yourself. A big show. Adam LaRue, Navy SEAL, talking about motivation today. Grant Cardone making an appearance. Brandon Dawson standing by. We're back in 60 seconds. Here we go.
Stand by. Going live in 3, 2, 1. Stand by camera, stand by audio.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners, be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective. How to grow and scale a business, even when caught off guard with something like what we're dealing with right now.
Welcome to 10X Owners Live. Here's Brandon Dawson.
Welcome to 10X Owners Live. We're excited to have everybody on this week. I'm very excited to have a good friend of mine, Adam LaRue, on the show with us. And we are going to be talking about how to stay focused, how to keep in the moment, how to fortify around yourself, not only mentally, emotionally, physically. This is about keeping yourself prepared for that moment when everything breaks loose. And how do you deal with stress, friction, anxiety, resistance, fear? How do you deal with all that while positioning and taking care and fortifying the now and preparing yourself for the future? So I'm very excited. I'm here with Buck.
Yep, that's right.
And I think there's a good chance that Grant Cardone, if he can get to where he has access to his computer, he will be joining us. And so how do we want to kick this off, Buck?
I think, you know, it would behoove me to give the qualifications of Adam before we bring Adam on, because he has so many amazing historical awards and honors. He is Navy SEAL, obviously, Lieutenant Commander in the U.S. Navy. He's also the co-founder of O2X, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 with Valor, 2 Combat Action Ribbons, 3 Presidential Unit Citations, Harvard's Robert F. Kennedy Award for Public Service, and as if that wasn't enough, I mean, here's the thing, I won a poetry contest when I was in elementary school. That's about all I can offer here. But he's the co-author of the top-selling book, O2X Human Performance for Tactical Athletes. Something tells me Adam is somebody that everybody should be listening to. Let's bring Adam on now. Let's bring him up, get things kick-started. Also, I want to mention that Adam, before we start taking questions with Adam, I want to mention, get in the comments right now. I want you to start asking your questions for Adam. I want you to ask your questions for Brandon or even GC, who's going to be joining us here. So what I would love for everyone to do, introduce yourself. That's what 10X Owners Live is all about. Start introducing yourself. Write down your questions. Talk a little bit about who you are, what's your business. We'd love to get that chat room going right now. So we'll start pulling questions, and we'll be taking your questions. Also, have the video up. We want to see everybody. So even if you look funky, put a hat on. Nobody can be in your bathrobe. Nobody really cares. Let's put the video on. This is the state of the industry. This is what we're doing now. We're all on Zoom. We're going to take your questions. We're going to pull your video up to take those questions. So without any further ado, Adam, how are you, buddy?
Good. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good, of course. Thank you. So how long have you and Brandon known each other now?
I guess it's been
7 or 8
probably
years.
been about
Wow.
that.
That's amazing. Where did it all start? Where did this relationship start for you guys?
Arizona, and then a secret trip to New York.
Uh-oh. Were you special ops BD? Is there something we don't know about you?
Adam and I would love to tell you, but we can't.
Or you'd have to kill me, right? Well, I'll let you guys take it away then.
Awesome, and I understand GC's on the line too, so after Adam and I chat, we'll make sure we get Grant up here. How you doing, brother? You hear me
Really
okay?
good. Yeah, I got you. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Doing well,
absolutely.
doing well.
Absolutely. We've been bragging about you and all the stuff you've done to serve this country, and now all the stuff you're doing to build a business and help people perform at an elite level. And so I thought it'd behoove us to have you, talk a little bit about one of the things that you and I have discussed: business owners, and basically everybody right now is having emotional stress, physical stress. And so I want you to talk a little bit about what you do and how you help people, especially first responders, overcome that.
Yeah, sure. So I can talk a little bit about O2X because, we're dealing with individuals that are in, high trauma situations, and also that play at a pretty elite level. We're not talking about wins and losses. We're talking about, life and death for a lot of this. These men and women are out there on the front lines and they have a high stress job. But it's funny, just like entrepreneurs, they volunteered for this, this lifestyle. There's a lot of risk and uncertainty with their job. There's a lot of occupational related challenges, cancer, cardiac disease, injuries. Law enforcement has a different slew than fire. EMS professionals, and obviously right now they're in the thick of it. So our program, education and training, just like here, we provide education and training on managing sleep and nutrition and conditioning, resilience, stress management. Like, how can you be the best that you can be? We talk a lot about, improving by 1% every day and teach our Eat, Sweat, and Thrive methodology.
Talk a little bit about, Adam, your business grew at like 50 some odd percent last year over the year before. You had a great ramp rate going. You and I have been having discussions about that, I don't know, for some time now. Talk a little bit about the training you've had as a Navy SEAL in being able to deal with the instantaneous pressure when something like this comes on. Talk about how your training has prepared you to think about the moment and act in the moment, because a lot of business owners are spilling over their emotions, and I don't think they realize the implication that has, making snap decisions, making rash decisions, and in the heat of the moment making decisions about what they're not going to do the rest of their life and regretting all the things they wish they had done. Talk about how your training has helped you and what your guidance would be for those business owners right now in this moment to best position themselves for the future.
Yeah, I think your mind is, goes into, a little bit of survival mode sometimes. And, clearly in the past, in the history of, human beings, like that's kind of saved us in a lot of ways. But you got to be self-aware. You got to understand that it is like climbing a mountain during tough, challenging times and chaotic times. You got to focus on what you can control. You got to move that one hand and foothold at a time. You can easily, like, I think Jared in the beginning here listed all the things that you could be thinking. We're going through amazing amount of change right now. We talk about people who have fear, anxiety, depression. People are tired. Usually in these types of situations, when it's chaotic, traumatic events, people will persevere and then they hit a wall. So there's a lot of burnout that will come. But, the perspective is it is change. And we usually focus human nature. A lot of times people go towards the negative. They're going towards negative thoughts and they're thinking those things. And as a business owner, it's hard not to think through the 100,000 things that could potentially go wrong and all that trickle effect. However, but you can take the similar situation and, you can look at the word change and you can think of opportunity. You can think of excitement, possibility. you can just change your mindset and focus on the here and now, and really just change your perspective on what it is, and shift and be like, am I undercutting my thoughts right now? These things I'm focused on, are they negative? Maybe I need to retool myself and take advantage of this opportunity and start gaining some ground versus losing ground.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your past experiences. Let's just envision a scenario where you're under an immense amount of pressure. You have a mission that you know is a few days out or maybe a week out. You're under immense pressure. Things are changing dynamically all around you. And your responsibility is to get you and your team where you need to be, safe and sound, execute the mission, and get yourself out of there. In that moment, with that immense amount of pressure, at that moment, what's your training teach you to do?
Yeah. Well, first, I think, tough, challenging training, that's what helps build resilience. And I think ultimately that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about building self-confidence, building the foundation for courage, and being able to kind of execute. I'm lucky, really lucky that I've been surrounded by some pretty amazing people in my life. I've had incredible mentors, and there's strength in numbers. And I see that there's 400 people on this chat here. Everyone's trying to help each other out. So I look to my left and my right, whether it was on a helicopter, whether it was, a boat over my head in, the middle of Hell Week, whether it was, during, pandemic times, you look to the left and the right, and it gives you great confidence looking at your team, looking at the strength in numbers, and knowing that, hey, listen, one person cannot solve everything on their own. It just, if you're an independent business owner, I get it, but there's probably mentors out there for you. But you don't have to have the answer to every problem. And I felt like early in my time in the military, I was worried about it, because to me, the worst thing that can ever happen to me is like if I had to fold up an American flag and give it to someone's spouse or a mother and father or a kid. That to me, was enough motivation to, work as hard as I can, be the best leader that I can. And, knowing that I can't prepare for every aspect, but I am going to dig in. I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to be the best officer or leader that I could possibly be. And, you cannot pull all risk and uncertainty out of combat operations, but you can't do that with entrepreneurship either. So there's risk and uncertainty. If we sat around and read every case study on every business, that's failed. Hey, listen, you know what? That wouldn't be there's a lot we can learn there, but there's also, wouldn't be probably the highest and best use of our time at certain aspects.
What the hell? Oh, hang on a second, Adam. We got something going on with the screen.
It was Adam's screen.
Oh, that was Adam's screen.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, Adam, hold tight for a second, because there's some
I don't think that was my screen unless someone's
sorry, we were tricking you. All right. Hey, hold tight here. We have a special guest that's just joined us, and then we'll follow up with questions for you and I here afterwards. I think we have the one and only Grant Cardone joining us tonight on 10X Owners Live.
Uncle G.
Uncle G,
very special appearance.
Let's bring him on.
I love this. Maybe we give him a new name. Maybe it's Lieutenant Uncle G. He's my lieutenant right now,
There he is.
There he is.
All right.
Hey, Adam, love what you're sharing, Adam. Really do, man. Thank you so much for being part of this. And Brandon, thanks for doing this with Natalie and your team, and all of you that are here tonight. Strength in numbers. And I think Adam would, agree with this comment about once you take on a mission, you can't think that you're going to bail out of the mission. You got to see the mission through. And this thing that is going on right now, my 8-year-old sent me a post last night. She says, Papa, it's so funny. People are sitting around thinking they're doing nothing when 100 years from now, those same people will be talked about by a new generation of people. Because each of us are living through something that has never happened before. And we're going to get through it. And the question is going to be, you're going to get to the other side. The question is, do you achieve the mission or do you not achieve it? And who are you on the other side? Brandon and I have decided that we're going to make it to the other side. And we know everybody's going to make it to the other side because this thing lifts at some point. It's like, I just asked myself, 3 or 4 times a day right now. Who am I going to be on the other side? Am I going to be faster, better, bigger, more resilient, more unstoppable on the other side? Because I'm going to get through it. So I just encourage everybody to start thinking with, okay, I'm on a mission, and we're going to get through it.
100%.
Question is, what do we look like on the other side? You know, what's the company look like on the side? Adam said it over and over. If you plan for every possible thing that would happen to you, you couldn't even get up in the morning. And you still wouldn't cover the thing that's going to happen to you. So really appreciate everybody being here. Adam, thank you so much. Thanks for all of you out there that are running businesses, thinking about hiring people, that you hire people, you had to let somebody go. Many of you had to let somebody go. Hey, congrats to you. I know how hard that is. Nobody's going to give you a pat on the back. I will. Sometimes you got to let somebody go. And there are losses in these missions. So, you know, all of you out there, we just bought meals for over, I think the number is 88,000 volunteers, nurses, doctors, firemen, fire people, fire departments, police departments in the Miami market. So when you make hard decisions, put you in a position to actually feed people that are actually doing hard work that maybe you can't do. So again, just big praise to everybody here. Big praise to Brandon and his team for everything that you're doing with companies that are scaling up and that are committed to scaling up. Brandon?
Yeah, thanks, G. Hey, thanks, G. And I appreciate the whole card. Your leadership is what's important here. And, you know, you called me this weekend and said, here's what I expect, here's what I want, and here's when I want it by. And I think that that's one of the things we're calling business owners and taking the whole thinking process out of the equation by saying, here's what you need to do, here's why you need to do it, here's when you need to do it, and here's who needs to do it now. The more you can build trust with the teams you're working with, the less you have to spend a whole bunch of time talking about all the concepts, and you go into action. And if you trust who's got your back, like Adam talked about, you know that the wisdom and the advice that you're getting, you just need to move on it, act on it. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you is you push those buttons and you're like, do it, get it done by this time, here's what I want, and the team goes out and executes. And I think that's excellent leadership and an example for everyone that's listening to this.
Yeah, and just one more thing to that, Brandon. I don't want to take too much time up, but you guys got to understand that most of the people are making poor decisions right now. Like if you just look, the 7th or 8th day into this event, people were running off buying toilet paper. Mm-hmm. If you're broke, toilet paper isn't the first thing on your mind. It just reminds me of how many people forgot about what being broke is like, because when I'm broke, I'm not going to buy toilet paper. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wipe my ass with my hand. And if I even worry about that, like I'm watching people go stack up on toilet paper. I'm like, people are stupid. You got to figure out how you're going to allocate energy and resources and assets today. Nobody here's got a $5,000 problem. You got a mission problem. You don't have an IRA problem, a retirement problem, a 401k problem. You got a mission. Your mission is to be successful. And that might mean you have to blow up your IRA. You might have to burn down your house that you bought and that was a dream at one time. You're going to have to give something up on this mission. Some assets are going to have to get spent. And Adam knows more about that than anybody here, because they didn't bring ammo to save it. So think about, what do you have? What assets do you have now? Or what liabilities do you have that you could actually convert to energy so that you could see your mission all the way through? That's what leaders do.
Great wisdom, G. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Awesome.
Love it.
So let's do this. You want to open it up to some questions, or we want to go back to Adam?
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's bring Adam back in. We've got a ton of questions lined up right now.
Awesome. Adam, we're going to bring you back in, buddy.
Just so everyone knows, we'll bring Adam up, and then we'll hear you, but we won't see you because we can only bring one person up at a time. So Adam's back up. Let's go to, should we do Trent? Let's pull Trent up and have Trent ask that question. Give us 2 seconds, Trent, while we pull you up. You know what would be interesting while we wait for Trent to get pulled up is, Uncle G's talked about this before. Remember back at Growth Conference, he talked about this. You got to give something up. He was talking about giving stuff up before we ever even hit the crisis.
Well, because he's been in a crisis. He
Right.
understands the process.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would be great is, I'd love for the chat room right now, while we're fielding these questions, talk about what you are going to be giving up. What is it that you are sacrificing in order to have that mission, to be able to have that focus point of where you're headed? I'd love to get some of those collectively in the chat room. We ready? Trent, go for it, buddy. What's your question? Adam's here with Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hey, Adam. My question was around how do you maintain focus and drive towards your training and keeping those goals when you've got things at the moment like your kids are at home, people are talking down on you every 5 minutes, clients are going mental. It's just around how do you keep that going, because obviously a lot of things come in the background. The business is stressful, things like that. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Sure. And I think it's obviously it's challenging now. People working from home represents its own challenges. We see that a lot sometimes with our first responders, the tactical community. They're having more stress, when they go back, and then the stress of coming back and forth and what potentially they could be given to their families is one whole thing. But I know it's for us, and for me, my advice is the routine and consistency is very important. I think that driving in order to have routine, you have to have consistency, right? So, even at the end of every day, you'll be surprised if you write down your schedule and just kind of list out things and be like, from sun up to sundown, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to bed, like how productive was I today? What are some things that I can impart some routine in? Am I getting there's 3 sides to the triangle. There's like your family, there's your personal side, and then there's your professional side. And, you got to take care of yourself in there. Because if one side of those triangles fall, then the whole house is collapsing. So you got to find time for self-care. You got to find time to take care of your family. And then you got to find time to take care of your business. So you got to do all those things, and you got to manage it within one office right now. So, I'd say, setting pretty hard times. There's certain things that you can control and certain things you can't control. You can control the time you wake up. You can control the time you go to bed. Some other things that happen, a kid gets sick, interaction situation, a contingency at work. Those are going to be tougher sometimes to control. And you're going to have to block time out for that. But, I think driving is an immense amount of self-awareness during this time is really, really important. And you'd be surprised that, writing down at the end of the day, kind of what you did, what you accomplished, and what you were trying to, and where you thought maybe you were undercutting your performance, and make some alterations. Just get that 1% better every day. How can I improve? Get 1% better.
Adam, great guidance. I would also recommend that you focus on bringing, business owners aren't necessarily good at bringing everybody along the journey with them, because to most people it feels very transactional, like, oh, I'm working harder and harder and harder because I want to accomplish something, but they don't share what that something is. I think if you bring everyone together and you share what the picture is and you share the purpose for why you're doing the things you're doing and what the end result is that you're trying to attain and get to, and ask them to come along the journey with you to support those decisions, it'll help with your decision making currently as well.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Sure.
Great. Awesome. Let's go to Jim. Jim, if you're ready. Let's pull up Jim's question for Brandon or Adam. I want to just keep something in mind, that if you are here, that this is not just a place to get answers, but it's a place to network with everyone. So in that chat room, I'd love to see what it is everybody does. If you would type in what business you own in that chat room. We've got, Josh is here with us. We've got the rest of the Cardone Ventures team is standing by to answer those specific questions. So if you are in the financial space, if you're, into marketing, or you're having challenges right now in operations, the entire team is in this chat and ready to support you and help you. It is, Grant says, success is your duty. This is our duty to help you through this time. And so we want to be able to help you. So type in there what it is you do and what challenges you might be going through. All right, Jim, go ahead. What's your question, buddy?
Hey, I had a question for Adam. Is there any kind of real world situation that you've been on a mission with any of maybe the SEAL teams that may most closely resemble to what the world's going through right now that you could share with us?
Um, you know, I guess it's a good question. So high level, I would say just there's been obviously times where there's probably less information, that we had, and which the less information you have, the more risk that you impart. So there's tons of times, a lot of deployments into Iraq and Afghanistan and a couple other areas, but when you're imparting and working with a small group, and there's a lot of information you just don't have. And I think there's a lot of information we don't have. We don't know how long this is going to go. So the uncertainty there is fairly high, which could raise the risk level quite a bit. And to me, that it is a very common feeling. I'll tell you right now that operating remotely is very comfortable for me. This environment right now, I mean, I feel very, very, not that I wish this, but I feel very comfortable operating remotely, decentralized leadership. I would definitely say that, when I say that strength in numbers, that, you can't make every decision, but your job is to see further faster if you can. But if you have good people, you've trained them, you've enabled them, you've given them the knowledge that you brought them on for the right reasons. I think that those people next to you, you want them to lead during these times. And this is great. And this is why having such a decentralized organization, it could force a lot of organizations into, giving up control a little bit. But you might be surprised that you might move a little faster than you thought.
And to add what Adam said, the seeing further faster, that's exactly what we've been trying to bring the business owners, and what Cardone, if you think about it, those businesses that have been training on Cardone U, and they've been incorporating the discipline and the accountability, they're seeing farther faster because the teams are already trained to react quickly to situations around them. So somebody can say, we're pivoting to this new thing tomorrow. Here's the scripts. The teams will train the way they always train, and they'll perfect their approach at it. And then boom, they're deployed into market doing the things that they already have been trained on doing. They're just changing some of the words they're doing, or they're offering something they didn't offer before. Those businesses who have had that as part of their discipline, as part of their system, as part of their regiment, they're performing better than businesses that did not have that. Doesn't mean they're not struggling, but they're performing better. So it's in these moments where you realize the fractures or the gaps in your business. And my one wish for everybody here is this may be an opportunity for everyone to assess their readiness positioning. And should we be fortifying every single day so that when or if anything like this happens, we're in the best position to take advantage of it. And I would say probably 90%, 95% of all businesses out there are wishing they'd paid more attention to the details. They had pushed their teams to do the things they needed them to do, like training, instead of letting the team say, I'm not comfortable with that, or I don't want to do that, or I'll let somebody else do it, or I tried that and it didn't work. All the things business owners acquiesce to their team members because they don't want to hold them accountable for fear that they'll think they're a jerk, or they'll leave, or whatever. I think there's going to be a big recalibration here, and I would ask everyone to assess in true honesty right now, how ready is your team to pivot and do the things they need to do instantaneously for the business to survive or even thrive in the future? Because if you identify those gaps now, you've got downtime to get your team working on those gaps so that you can come out of this thing like a slingshot. So being prepared and being ready and having a mentality of winning every day is really super important for a business to succeed.
It's interesting. We played a clip, I think it was 2 weeks ago, John Maxwell, right? And when you're in a crisis, you squeeze the orange and you see the juice. We talked about that from a personal standpoint for people, right? But to what you're saying, Brandon, almost the same thing can be said from a business standpoint, right? When the crisis hits, you see what sort of infrastructure they had in place. You can start to see the juice of that business and the people that crack under pressure in the infrastructure that you've put in place. So. Gilberto, we're going to go to Gilberto for a question.
I would also like to, on that is, it's like jumping out of a plane for the first time, or your first time you start your business and you're looking through a soda straw. So your visibility in sometimes very chaotic and closed times it's very closed, it's very narrow.
Right.
So it takes a while to kind of start opening your aperture and start looking up, and where you're noticing other people in the air with you. And, instead of just like your altimeter and waiting for that moment that you can actually pull your ripcord, you have to kind of keep your head up. And usually when more and more stress comes, it's like doing anyone who's is a hiker, mountaineer, you add in more and more rocks, more and more weight into your rucksack. Well, the heavier your ruck is, the lower your head goes usually. So as you're adding all these things into it, you just got to make sure that you take those times to like pick your head up, understand where you're at, and usually helps you in your decision making under relatively chaotic times.
Love it. Perfect. Let's pull up Gilberto. Go for it, buddy. What's your question?
Hi everyone from Mexico. Thank you for doing this. Hey, my question is, what is the most important thing to do before you jump into battle?
What's the most important thing to do before you jump into battle? Adam, I'll let you handle that one.
I think the most important, obviously, is checking in with the team. Preparation. We've talked about it a bunch of times here. It's no different than in business. You're going to go execute on a product. You're going to go execute on an event. Prior preparation is key. A lot of times you don't have time for rehearsals. You don't have time to script everything out. And you know what? And actually, Grant said it before. What you think you're going to get and what actually you get are going to be two different things. So preparation, checking in with the team, making sure everybody is got that focus and attention onto what the task is. And then also another big thing is avoiding complacency. So I think complacency is something that maybe isn't setting in right now, but it can. And believe it or not, in combat operations, complacency sets in, pretty regular. It's amazing, after getting into a routine, you think you'd be something that would never get complacent, but you can easily get and fall into that trap. So making sure that the distractors are not there, and making sure also that the complacency is alleviated and everybody's focused and ready.
Well, and I'll add to that, actually having everybody on your team understand what the mission is. Many business owners accumulate team members and they put them into functional roles, and nobody actually has a clear picture as to where they're supposed to go to as a group, as a unit. And so they end up working against each other instead of working towards something together. So organize the mission, like what is the purpose? Readiness your team, right? Get them drill, practice, rehearse, and get them ready, because you don't know what you're going to encounter once you're out moving forward, especially in the marketplace. And then thirdly, have open comms with your team so you understand in real time what is or is not happening, so that they have some guidance as to how to make decisions. And then train them well enough that you can trust their instincts when they're in the field doing what they need to do in business. Because most people, they get a little bit of training, they don't get a lot of concept as to what they're supposed to be doing or where they're moving to. They don't get functionally trained how they're supposed to work with each other. And this is the work I did with Story Musgrave. I talked to him again yesterday. And at NASA, they have a very specific operating model, which we modeled in our strategic business units to work together. And so by being on this call and listening to me, listening to Grant, listening to Adam, listening to Buck, listening to each other, we are all preparing each other for something much bigger. And if we continue to do this and grind together, work together, you join the mentors program, you join my programs, we keep fighting every single day to win together. Then when we come out the other side, all your competitors, all your peers that are sitting around licking their wounds, wishing other things have been different, they will not be ready, and we'll have a huge strategic advantage.
Love the slingshot analogy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
No, Brandon, you're right. Obviously, roles and responsibilities clearly defined. Everyone know what their job task is, and then knowing that there's you're bringing in the right people for the right reasons, and that they're going to adapt on the fly. That's what you're expecting. That's what we're seeing right now in great organizations that are thriving this time, is that people know their roles and responsibilities, but they're adapting to their time, and they're taking ground.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Next question.
Next question is going to come from Kim. I want to make a quick reminder before Kim asks her question that we actually had a very private call with Adam that only an exclusive amount of people had access to. This was last Wednesday. Adam came on. He's been nice enough to give us his time. And that's called the 10x 360 Roundtable Call. That is a private group of business owners who are looking for a more intimate and direct access to Brandon and the rest of the leadership team, our CFO, myself for marketing. If you're a business owner and you are not a part of that roundtable and you want special guests like Adam and having that private access to him, I definitely recommend raising your hand in the chat room or emailing our Josh Dawson, who's here with us, jdawson@cardoneventures.com. 10x360 Roundtable is a program that you can join and have that exclusive access to people like Adam. Kim, go ahead. Let's hear that question. Kim, you're live. Go for it.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a realtor, and I'm just wondering what we should be doing, like what you would do first off the bat. I have an amazing positive energy, and I'm really excited with how the market's going to go. I cannot wait for all the investors to come in and just go wild with us. It's going to be exciting. So what would you think that we should be concentrating on right now in order to make sure that we're ahead of this curve?
Well, what's the number one most important thing with everything you just said to make that exciting thing to happen?
What's the number one thing?
Number one most important asset you need to have in order for all that exciting stuff to happen?
People.
Relationships.
I need to know where the investors are, I guess.
No, the investors can find you if you find the right deals. You know, it's all.
So is it going to be like getting out there? Like I've got to get out there more.
Well, you're sitting at home all day. I'd be calling every single person I could find to call to ask them what their plans are coming out on the other side of this thing, and as if there's anything you can do to help them with your experience. And I would be using every day. Imagine you make 100 prospecting calls a day, or like the Cardone guys make 200 or 300, maybe 400, introducing yourself, telling people what you do. They're all sitting at home right now, asking them if on the other side of this they expect to keep their home, or they're looking to buy something else, or maybe getting, like I would be prospecting and building relationships and doing everything I could to have my Rolodex be full and have people that I believe are thinking that they're going to make a move, or, I'd just be paying attention to what's going on in my marketplace and focusing on relationships. What would you say, Adam?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you hit it. The relationship side is really important. I think now more than ever is that, the people that you're working with and the people that you're reaching out to, the work ethic and the drive that you put in and the relationships you build right now are critical, because you want to accelerate out of this curve. It's like, slowing down for a big turn, but then accelerating out of it. And when that comes, you just want to position yourself what's the set up for success. I'm always not surprised, but I'm always really, impressed by the amount of effort that you put in. Like Brandon said, a couple hundred calls, and what that does. It sometimes doesn't feel like we're not above cold calling. We're not above opening our book and just reaching out to people. And you know what? Sometimes it works out. A lot of times it doesn't. But you know what? You're getting your message out there. And then what I notice is that the next quarter or 2 quarters later, some of that return on investment for all that hard work starts building in. It's hard to see it here and now, but that a lot of that hard work, it comes in later. I'm like, you know what? All those calls I came, and I felt like it wasn't gaining any ground at all. I see that momentum pick up later, and it helps. It might not help this quarter, but it's helping the last 2 quarters.
And I would, having a longer term perspective. So here's my question to you. Do you actively train on Cardone U every single morning?
No.
Okay, so this is what I would be doing. I would be getting a subscription to Cardone U. You can email, it's jdawson@cardoneventures.com. I would get Cardone U. I would watch the modules every single morning for a half hour. I would then take how I want to build my business, the scripts, specific things I want people to say. Because here's the deal. If you want to become valuable in the future by problem solving for other people, you're going to need to build a team. And the reason most realtors are one-off people is because they don't know how to build a team. So I would study. In fact, I'm going to introduce a program at the end of this call as well. If you take advantage of my program, then I'll give you Cardone U for the next, I don't know, I think it's
12 weeks.
12 weeks. I'll
Yeah.
give you Cardone U so you can do this with my Scale Up program. So the idea here is I would take my time, I would be doing Cardone U in the morning, and then I'd be writing down the value add, the value proposition that I have for my business, the way I say, the things I do. Then I'd start making phone calls, and I would start changing my scripts up based on the kind of engagement I'd have. And what I would do over the next 60 days is I would reach out to hundreds and hundreds of people. I would be trained as an expert on how to overcome objections, how to embrace objections, how to present myself, how to pitch myself, how to pitch, present, and close on the things I'm offering. And then I would have a running dialogue of all the things I did that worked. And then I would hire somebody to come in and I'd have them do the 20% of setting your appointments up for you. So when the market breaks, they can take over the calling and you have an exact system that they can follow. And then when you bring on another agent to work with you, you would have an exact system for them to follow. And then you can scale and increase the overall impact of building your business, because most people don't do the basics, so they can't get to the leverage part of the scaling part. That's what I would be doing. I would be using this as an opportunity to do everything. See, if you're in business, draw a line down the center of a page right now and write down everything that you did really well that got you into your market, got you able to succeed, generating whatever revenues. This is the time to assess all the things you did not do well. And if you don't have discipline and accountability and training and scripting and really tight operating procedures, take this time to do that. And the way you do it is I'll offer my 10x 360 Scale Up program. It's a 28 modules, 12-week program, and we'll include Cardone U in that. And anybody who's never trained on Cardone U, you can do both those programs and be part of the next 12 weeks of our private calls. Grant said to me, Grant calls me every 3 days and he says, what are we doing to help the people who trust us? What are we doing? It's the number one question. What are we doing? And when I answer him, you know what his first response is? It's not enough. So I know when I get that next call, I have to be thinking about the next thing that we've got to offer people to help them, because it's an expectation that he's planting in mine and Jared and Sherry's and Buck's and Mike's and Natalie's head. It's not enough. It's not enough. Push, push, push. Create, create, create. He called me Sunday. He said, we need 15 new videos by Wednesday because people are asking these questions and we need to help them. Go script it, make the videos, and get them to us. I don't know if anybody knows how much work that is, but it's like, 25 hours of scripting and writing and then shooting the videos and editing. But the point is, we need to do everything we can do. You need to be thinking the same way. And when you listen to Adam, most people are trapped in situations that are unbearable right now because they were not thinking or doing that way before this happened, because things were good, which is that complacency that Adam talked about.
You're spelling out my dream. You just spelled it all out 100%.
Then you email.
Everything you were saying just blew me away of the things that so many of us want to do.
Well, and that's why Grant has created everything he's created. I've never seen anybody put more attention to content, to information, and he presents it always in two ways. We can do it for you, like investing. I'll teach you how to invest, or you can invest with me in Cardone Capital, just like with business. The mandate to me was, people can bring us in to do their business and run it with them in a partnership, but you have to offer it for people that want to pay to learn how to do it and do it themselves. So it's a different way of thinking and doing, and you need to be doing the same thing. So email jdawson@cardoneventures.com and we'll talk to you about how we can help you do all that.
Okay, thank you.
Love it. Kim, just so you know, my wife is in residential real estate. She just put her entire team on Cardone U. The effect is immediate in the way that the team is going to think. The back of our living room window right now, she's using dry erase markers. It looks like an office. She is writing on the windows of the house. She has never been busier. There are opportunities in real estate right now, and Cardone U is the first step. Let's go to the next.
I just closed 2 deals today, so
That's
I'm
amazing.
doing good. I just want to do better.
Congratulations. That's awesome, Kim. I want to keep up with you. So if you don't email Jay Dawson, I'd love for you to DM him if you could. Just DM him right now in the chat room. He's here. He's 6 feet away from me, just so we're clear. Let's go to our next question. Thank you, Kim. We're going to go to Sherman, who's got a question for Brandon and Adam. And if you just joined us at 10X Owners Live, remember that we do have this roundtable program that we'll talk about here in just a little bit in more detail. But
Since I just talked to her, why don't we tell them what we're offering here? Just so they
sure,
understand.
yeah. The 12-week online scale-up course, that's an online course. That is a very meticulous course that can help really business owners or aspiring business owners, right?
Yeah, the whole idea of this course is I've created all these modules to teach you how to strategically think about scaling and growing your business. The details about how to plan it, how to identify the opportunities within the business, how to then identify the process you're going about winning, then how to transfer that to another human being after you segment it from a matter of the easiest stuff to the hardest stuff,
Right.
how to bring those people on. It's a very specific approach that I've been training on for years on how to scale and grow your business.
It's over 5 hours of content, I'm pretty sure. I think it hits almost
well,
6
and
hours of
let me
content.
just say, it's over 30 years of work,
Right.
and hundreds of millions of dollars spent and earned developing it.
Right. If you are just joining this program and maybe you are familiar with Grant, but maybe you're not familiar with Brandon, his last company sold for 77 times EBITDA. So this isn't just experience in general. This is like proven successful experience. That is an unheard of number, $151 million, right, evaluation.
I started that business with $500,000. Generated over $50 million of profit over 14 years and sold it for $150 million. We never borrowed a dime. We never raised a dime. We never went into debt. We never took money from anybody. Learning how to properly scale and grow your business is a technique. No one's teaching it because it's not to anybody's advantage. Grant said you need to put it into a program, and we need to teach anybody that wants to grow and scale their business.
The reason I mention that is because the internet is filled with experts, especially right now during the COVID-19 crisis. There are just so many experts, quote unquote, if you're watching the Zoom. And I always make sure that we validate the reason why a scale-up program would be something that you should be interested in if you're looking to learn from one of the biggest experts in this vertical and in this industry. So you get that, you get your scale-up, and then you've got 90 days of Roundtable. The Roundtable is tomorrow at noon. It's weekly, every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. You have access to that for 90 days. You've got the Scale Up program, and you're throwing in Cardone U as well.
That's correct.
Yep. So if you are interested in this package, what I need you to do is get in the chat right now. Reach out to Josh Dawson, who's in there. You can DM him specifically, or if you're not in the chat, write this email down, jdawson@cardoneventures.com. jdawson@cardoneventures.com.
Buck, and then our normal program is anybody who's already done the scale-up program, anybody who's already done the 360, and you want to be in this private group, it's $9.95 a month.
Right.
Any amount of money that you spend, we credit it to our programs.
That's you know what? That's a good point. If you're spending the $9.95 a month to be a part of this program, that goes towards a 10x 360 event, right?
Yep.
Or that could go towards a scale-up event. So let's take Sherman now. Sherman, thanks for being patient. We appreciate you being here today. We've got Adam on, who is just a badass Navy SEAL, co-founder of O2X, 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Combat Action Ribbons, 3 Presidential Unit Citations in a crisis. This is the type of person you want to connect with for motivation. And then Brandon Dawson here as well. Go ahead with your question.
My question actually ties in both with Adam and with Brandon, and that is, in our organization, part of the thing that I've been looking at closely as I've let go some people through this, and I've brought on some new people, is the balance between really driving and pressuring people to take certain actions and giving them autonomy. And I tend to, I think, historically give people too much autonomy, and they end up going off the road. And this question around how much pressure as a manager, as a leader, do you hold people under so they are focusing on the right things? Because there's a lot of distraction, especially right now. So I'm kind of curious on your thoughts, both of you, on that issue.
Yeah, I think I'll jump on that. So first of all, words are really important. You know, I've always believed words are important, but I've never believed it as much as I believe it now, because part of the mentoring that I've been going through with Grant is when I use words, he always asks me to look them up and explain to him what the word meant. And it's really taught me to focus in on words. So one word you used is autonomy. I would say that that is a word that you're using in order to justify abdication. So abdication is when the difference between delegation and abdication, and I'm sure Adam can talk to this, is when you just hire somebody and send them off their way and you blame them when it doesn't work and you're a victim when it doesn't work, and then if it does work, you're key man hostage. Delegation is having a process, a system, a training routine, a regiment. You've got discipline, you've got accountability, and you don't ever push on people. See, there's 6 words I use with all business: inspiration, discipline, accountability, alignment. Results is the last word. I missed a word there, but I'll think of it in a second. Or transparency, and then results. So if you have those 6 words, then you're moving in the right direction. But you cannot be a victim of your own business because people are running off the rails, because that means you are not running a business with process, with accountability, with discipline, with alignment, with transparency, and driving people to results. You're hiring and hoping it works, and when it doesn't, you beat them up or you're a victim by it. And I think that is how majority of businesses, because you're good at what you do and then you get busy doing it, so you start hiring people hoping they're going to take care of the problem. There is a much better, much more sophisticated, and a much less dramatic way to build businesses, much more valuable if you trust what we're talking about. Adam?
Yep. Yeah, I think the military does like a really good job of like mentorship and bringing people through this pipeline, right? And preparing people for roles. We'd always just say, as from an officer's perspective, you're always grooming somebody to be better than you all the time. Like and it's happening here. Brandon does it naturally. Like you're always trying to make someone better than yourself. Like how do you groom people? How do you bring people up? And I think when you have that mentorship, you lay it out, there's definitely accountability. We are very big on after action reviews, like AARs or feedback loops. It's something that they usually stick new SEAL officers with, and it's in the beginning it's like a complete drag because you're evaluating all these steps of the process and what's working well and what's not. However, it's an incredible way to learn. It's a credible way to see what's going right and what's not. It's a great way to check in with your team. I've always been, from a very young age, just focused on goals, but also knowing that goals will change. Like right now, adaptability is very, very important. But it's interesting to me because I've had a lot of conversation with a lot of business owners. We just finished Q1, right? And I always ask people how'd you do in Q1? Like, where are you with your goals? Like, what were the objectives? And I get like, well, we don't really have any. Like, so what are we doing? Just aimlessly walking through your business? Like, what are we focusing on here? It's a great way to check in with, the people that you have. And it's also a great way to, take care of them, because that's your check-in. And as leaders, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be take care of our people, putting our people above us. Ultimately, we're responsible for everything. But, for me, it's, those principles kind of have helped me a lot along the way.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question.
That's great. Let's go to Stephanie. We're pulling up Stephanie now. I think, Stephanie, you ready to go? What's your question?
Sure, absolutely. I work in healthcare consulting. The name of the company is Altius Healthcare Consulting Group. And, we have a solution that could really be helpful to hospitals and healthcare systems right now. Our mission is to have the right person in the right place at the right time for the right clinical outcome so that we can help community hospitals continue to thrive and continue to provide high quality services to their community. However, I'm having a hard time just getting the executives and financial people within the hospitals to slow down long enough to listen. We have a tool that can help them plan the resources they need for the current crisis, and more importantly, be financially stable coming out of it and know what the budget should look like and what they should have. So how do I actually get someone's attention when they're so much in the middle of the crisis they can't even pause to actually think?
Sure.
Great question.
Yeah, it's a great. I would say, you kind of every organization has a network, right? And that organization, it's like I look from a military jargon thing. A task organization, right? We have one at our company, but hey, there's all these different players, and then there's like the key influencers within those organizations. And clearly, from a business owner, you're always necessarily maybe not trying to get to the highest level, but you're trying to find that person who's like the influencer in the organization. So maybe my perspective is like I've been in similar situations as you, and it's hard, especially during chaotic times, to get people to focus attention, especially something that might really help them. But also, it's a change. Like almost back to what I started talking about. It's a change, and people don't want to change when there is some sort of crisis or something happens. So you got to find, the executive assistant. You got to find that person who will carve out that moment for you so they can hear that full thing. For us, we work a lot with cities and city halls and state houses and senators and mayors and city managers. They don't really have too much time right now to talk. But they do have somebody there that's helping them with the crisis management and filtering all the information. And that's the person that you got to find. You might not be able to find the exact decision maker, but you can also build some relationships and find the right person in the organization to talk to.
And also, here's what I would say. Because I'm such a data guy, I would immediately segment the market. So I would take the places that there's so much activity going on, there's a lot of crisis. I would remove those off my existing list, and I would go down to the markets where there isn't. Wyoming, there's states where there just isn't a lot of this happening right now. And I would start where there's less activity in smaller states or smaller markets, and I would work my way up, try to grab some new customers, just keep the activity, hone in my skill sets, build relationships. Because here's one thing for certain. Once this all settles down, every association, every hospital association, they're going to be coming together and talking about how could we have been more efficient? How could we have been more effective? How can we open up comm lines between all the hospitals better? How can we share resources and assets better? There'll be a central resource asset depository somewhere that will be created, kind of like the US Mint. Everything will be housed there and it'll be deployed out in an emergency situation, because it's the most efficient way to do it. There's going to be a lot of changes, tons of changes in healthcare coming with telemedicine, with cross boundaries and all the regulations and all this stuff. I would start with one small win at a time. If you're not, are you on Cardone U?
You there, Stephanie? Are you on Cardone U?
Yes, I'm on Cardone U.
Okay, perfect. So Stephanie, I would write down while you're calling these smaller markets, I'd be training on the intro calls and everything, and then I would be mapping that to when you get a yes from anybody, you'd write down, this got me a yes. What did I say? What did I do? Who was it that I asked for? And when that person gives you, and I would decision tree this out, starting in markets where there isn't a whole lot of urgency right now, although they'll be busier, and I would try to get a few wins one at a time, and then as things settle down in these other markets, I would move to those other markets. But by the time I got there, I would have a killer decision tree of here's what I said, here's what they did, here's where I started with, here's who they transferred me to, because that's all stuff you're going to want to train as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and this is the time to do it, because there's no harder time to get a sale right now. Attention is a hard time to get in the middle of a crisis.
Great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Sure.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hey, before we take our last question here from Steven, we're going to pull up Steven for a question. What I'd love to do, if Brandon doesn't fire me for doing this, can we do the split screen of Brandon and Adam together? Can we do that? There we go. So you guys are going to smile right now, and I want everybody to take a group selfie with Adam and Brandon. Pull your phone out. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. What's going to happen is you're going to post this picture of you and Adam and Brandon, and you're going to tag at Brandon M. Dawson on Instagram. One person who tags Brandon is going to get a 20-minute private coaching call with Brandon. I'm going to choose.
I'll give him 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Woo! He's feeling generous. He's feeling generous. Don't take advantage of this. Take that selfie shot right now. Big smiles on these guys. Pull your phones out. Tag them on Instagram. Adam, do you have an Instagram you want them to tag your company's Instagram?
Yep. Yeah. At O2X Human Performance.
Hey, okay. Adam, let's give him a little 10X.
10X.
Everybody
there you go.
Get ready.
Do the 10X shot. There you go. I like that. Okay, so take your shot right now. Tag us at Brandon M. Dawson. I love that. So let's go. We'll see who picks that up.
Make sure you tell them what the offer is too right now.
Yeah. Oh, the offer, just so we're clear here. We've got the 12-week online scale-up course. That's over 5 hours of information for you helping to scale your business. Then you've got 90 days of the private calls with Brandon at the Roundtable. That is a smaller elite group of business owners. That's 90 days of Roundtable plus Cardone U. $5,000. You're getting that full package for $5,000. That $5,000 we're going to put towards an event. If they want to come towards like a live 360, they could come to one of our 10x 360 courses, and that will go towards your event if you want to pay for that event. The other one is if you want to do just the roundtable, right? The 90-day roundtable, that's $995. $995 a month for the weekly access on Wednesday. And that also will go towards a live event. That $995 goes towards any live event that we put on. Of course, when the restrictions are lifted and we get those going again, that $995 for your monthly roundtable will go towards that as well.
Yeah, and just to clarify also, it's you get the roundtable, but on the scale up, you're also going to get 5 hours of private scale up Zoom calls with your group.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's do it. Steven, take us home, buddy. What's your question?
Is this me?
That's you, Steven.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I had lots of questions. Oh, fuck. I don't even know. Sorry, guys.
Hey, good thing it's not live TV.
Just pick your best question.
How do you keep your business close to you? How do you, we're so close to this, and I feel like today, even for example, I'm getting weird people reaching out to me, and I'm jumping on calls and getting invites to dinners and Thanksgiving dinners and stuff. And I'm very open. I feel that being transparent and honest in this space is going to be the thing that snowballs me and gets this thing going to levels I've never imagined happening. But I do operate very open, and
what's your business?
Lead generation in the auto space, so it's dealing with dealerships mainly.
Yeah, so people, that space right now is particularly getting completely hammered. Right?
Oh yeah, but I'm still scaling. I mean, we made 750 calls in the last 3 days. I'm hiring people, firing people, merging with a company in the States. There's lots going on, but I'm scared that the wrong people might get a hold of me. I'm a little green when it comes to this big business stuff.
Are you talking about on the deal side?
Yeah, just having control, losing control.
Yeah, well, that most transactions, it's easy. That's what happened to me with my first private equity company. Is there was a few gotchas, and they call them ratchets and screw downs. And so, understanding how to navigate and negotiate. You probably, I don't know how large is your business? How many employees?
How many am I paying?
Yeah,
I've got a lot I've got a lot of sweat going on, but there's 8 of us going, but there's 4 of us getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly recommend for you that you do the scale up program, because I cover in there how to establish your business to maximize the value, and how to delegate across the different resources and assets you have in the organization. And by being part of these groups, you can ask the private group that I have, these are very specific questions. My CFO and I will even review the documents and give you some perspective on it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome. Cool, Steven. Hey, so the other thing I wanted to mention about Roundtable, since it is a smaller group, I know there's a lot of questions we weren't able to get to today. If you join us at the 10x 360 Roundtable on Wednesday and you're a part of that group, we guarantee every question you have gets answered. We have a guaranteed question and answer policy. So if you are a business owner and you are looking for that type of information and proximity to Brandon and the entire team, that is another good reason to join Roundtable if you had a question today that wasn't answered.
The other thing I want to add to that is I've gotten, from the people that are part of that program, I've gotten numerous personal calls with emergency yes and no's or guidance and advice. In fact, I had one today on what would have been a huge transaction. It's 15 minutes of guidance and advice on how to exactly deal with a crisis. And if you're part of our private group, then you have access to being able to have that conversation with me, Mike, Buck. So, we have to make ourselves available to you, but you have to show the commitment on your side that you're interested in something than just using free information from a relationship. So if we're all in this together and we're committed together, then we're going to have your back.
Love that. That's great. Adam, it was awesome to have you on today. Thank you so much for making the time. I imagine we should have Adam back often. So thank you, buddy.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it, and thanks for good luck to everybody out there. It's really nice hearing the questions, and love seeing the community.
Hey, brother, I appreciate your time. Obviously, I respect the hell out of you, your service, your commitment, and can't wait to see you and get together again.
Awesome.
Same here, buddy.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so anything you want in conclusion? I've got a great inspirational clip. This seems to be a benchmark we do.
Let's do it.
This is Kevin Hart. We're talking about, and if you were at GrowthCon, you saw Kevin Hart talk, but we're talking about motivation and inspiration and staying positive. And coming from a guy who's really, really funny, he actually offers some pretty amazing wisdom. So we'll play you out with that, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks for joining us on the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed all the topics. We're really committed to bringing you guys value, and I hope you join our private community so we can spend more time and more quality time addressing each and every one of your questions. I answer those questions, shoot a video on them, and send them back to you. So we're here to serve, and that is what our leader, Grant Cardone, has said we need to do, especially in these times of need. So thank you guys for joining us on the show.
You're always in such high spirits. How do you keep your mind fit?
By just simply being positive, practicing positivity. What I find is that it's harder to be positive than it is to be negative. Negative is the easiest thing in the world because you can embrace it. It's easy. It's very easy to hate, very easy to not like. But to like, to love, that seems to be more of a challenge these days. So I pride myself on being just that, surrounding myself with others that adapt that. Make sure you keep your environments positive. And if the things that you're around aren't conducive to your way of thinking, then you need to separate yourself from those things.